Hi, I'm Shannon Van House, a diabetes educator at Claxton-Hepburn.
I'm Steve Hawes, Director of Food Service at Claxton-Hepburn.
And I'm Michelle Catlin, Community Outreach Coordinator at Claxton-Hepburn.
Today we're working on recipe number 2 of 25 Feeds 5, and we're going to do a quick and easy recipe, overnight oats. We'll do a few varieties of it and show you how easy it can be to make a healthy breakfast or lunch. Okay, so we're going to start with the basic starter. So all of these different varieties start with a basic overnight oat recipe. And it's just some steel cut oats, some chia seeds, and some unsweetened almond milk. That's the basic starter. If you wanted to, you could add a sweetener. I brought along like a monk fruit, which is a sugar alternative. But if you start adding fruit and things like that, you'll find that it gets very flavorful, even without adding any sweetener at all. So we're going to start.
What's the difference, Shannon, between steel cut oats and other oats?
So steel cut oats are, I guess, probably the least refined. A rolled oat is really just like a same oat groat, they're called. It's just been sort of pressed out and rolled and roasted. And they both have similar fiber profiles and nutrient profiles. So either way, steel cut oats tend to be more textured, so they're like chewier, and it just really is preference. So if you prefer rolled oats, even quick oats too, you could do that. They tend to soak a little bit faster, so they'd be ready quicker. Steel cut oats, when we're doing these overnight oats, definitely I recommend they should be refrigerated and soaked for at least 4 hours or overnight. So we're going to start with steel cut oats, and we have mason jars. So these are just regular mason jars with a lid, and you can get them at Walmart or wherever. You can also use like an old spaghetti jar or other jar that you have from the store that you've washed out. You can use a plain old bowl and just put saran wrap over top of it and stick it in the fridge overnight. So nothing fancy. So we're going to start with a 1/4 cup of our steel cut oats. And this is such a simple recipe. This is the hardest part, is getting your stuff in your jar without spilling it.
Maybe a funnel.
So there's
the steel cut oats look a lot different than the regular.
Yeah, they're very small, so they haven't been flattened and smushed. So they're closest to a whole grain. Okay. And then we're going to do almond milk. You can do regular dairy milk. Just keep in mind that if you are like dairy sensitive, or if you're watching your carbohydrates, milk will add about 15 grams more carbohydrates to it. Whereas an unsweetened almond milk doesn't have any sugar added, and it's really important to look for unsweetened because a lot of them are flavored and have sugar added to them. But an unsweetened almond milk has only 30 calories per cup, and it's got protein, and it really only has 1 gram of carbohydrate. So
there's so many flavored milks out there. There's oat milk, there's soy milk, there's almond milk, and regular milk. What do you think is the best one to use?
I think any of them, you just have to watch. It depends on what you're looking for. So like oat milk, for example, is going to have carbohydrates similar to like dairy milk, whereas almond milk is a nut. So I really should have done this with a spouted measuring cup. Ta-da! Okay. So we can add even a little bit more. This is a 1/2 cup, but I would actually go a little bit more, just because it makes them, I like my oats a little bit soupier. So the different milks, the only thing I would caution is to make sure that they're not a sweetened milk, and they don't always say it on the label that it's sweetened. It might just say vanilla or chocolate or plain oat milk, and you have to be careful with marketing because it looks like it's the
I found with shopping with these different kinds of milk, I always gravitate back towards the unsweetened almond milk because it has the least amount of ingredients in it.
Yeah.
If you look at all the labels.
Yep. And its taste is very neutral, I find.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have a strong flavor. It works well in a lot of things that you would use milk for. So now we're going to use some chia seeds. So we're just adding, is it a teaspoon there, Michelle, in our recipe?
1 to 2 teaspoons.
1 to 2 teaspoons. So whatever your preference is. Chia seeds are a whole grain, and they are rich with omega-3 fatty acids, and they also add some different texture. So when these soak, they actually take on sort of a gelatinous quality. They can be used to make like a pudding too, so sort of interesting. And these are like super tiny little grains, and they're crunchy. They add a little bit of texture to the
I've heard that
oat
you can
recipe.
kind of hide them in just about anything.
Yes.
Like soups and stews and...
Yeah, they give it a little bit of bulk and texture. And the
Yeah.
other thing is that they help to fill you up. So they fill you up faster, so you tend to not overeat things when these are mixed into them. So that's our basic overnight oats. You could put the top on this, leave it overnight, and you're all done. Or you can go ahead and add some different things, and we're gonna do a few different recipes today.
Okay, so that's the base.
Okay. Okay. So next step, we're going to add, do a banana nut recipe to our basic oats. So we'll start. Michelle, do you want to do the banana?
Yep, I'll go ahead and peel the banana. I don't know if you guys know this, but if you peel the banana from the bottom, it actually peels better. I read that somewhere, I don't know why. But bananas are awesome because they're really portable, and they fill you up, and they're full of potassium. So we'll put that in there. And
Yep.
we'll
So this
mash it
recipe,
up.
really, you just need about a half a banana, but you can add as much as you want.
You want the whole or the half? You do the half?
We'll just do the half. Make sure we have enough room in our jar.
So I'm just mashing it up with a fork, no special tools that you need. If you have a potato masher, you can use that too, but like I said, just make it as easy as possible.
And you can chop it up into little bite-sized pieces too if you prefer that.
There.
But I will tell you that banana will turn brown overnight. So
Yep.
some people, that bothers them, and they prefer to just chop the banana up in the morning before they go and toss in the banana chunks before they leave. For me, I don't care. Brown banana tastes just as good as a
Yep.
whole banana. So we'll add this to our oat mixture.
Bananas are also a really good natural sweetener. If you want to put them in like milkshakes or something like that, or if you're making like a really healthy smoothie with some almond milk, bananas is a good sweetener.
Yeah, the riper they are, the more sweet they are. I know some people don't like to eat a banana when it's got brown spots, but at that point it's really nice to throw into recipes to add as a sweetener. So we're gonna add some walnuts. I'm gonna chop off some. How many walnuts does it say? Is it just a?
About a tablespoon.
Okay, we'll go about with that. I'm gonna chop them up.
Yep. Walnuts are pretty soft, so they're easy to cut with a knife. You can also put them in a baggie and kind of hit them with a hammer if you wanted to. But for this recipe, we're just going to do this since it's such a few. And walnuts are one of the more healthier nuts of the nut. I mean, all nuts are healthy, but they tend to be at the top of the list.
Yeah, lots of antioxidants, healthy oils, and they actually are shown to reduce cholesterol, just like other nuts.
Yep.
They raise good cholesterol and lower our LDL, our bad cholesterol. So good benefits, and they're filling. They've got healthy fat and protein, so very filling.
Yeah, and they're very flavorful.
And you don't have to do walnuts if you don't like walnuts. You could do pecans, but you could do almond slivers. You could do peanuts. So whatever you like. I'm gonna gracefully get this in the jar. And this is a fun recipe to do with your family. Kids, this is so easy for kids
because
to
everybody
do.
could kind of build their own the
you
night
can put
before.
whatever you want in it.
Yep. So you need 2 tablespoons of peanut butter.
2 tablespoons of peanut butter. So we got some.
Peanut butter is one of those foods that you need to definitely read your labels. Because most of your peanut butters, I'm not going to name labels, but your top brands, the second ingredient is usually sugar. Whereas if you stick with your natural, organic, the ingredients are usually peanut butter, peanuts and salt, or maybe a little bit of oil, but most of them is just peanuts and salt.
And one of the signs that it's a natural peanut butter is that it's got oil. The oil rises to the top. And you'll have to mix it to make it a little bit smoother and creamier. Sometimes they're a little bit gritty, but you can find creamy peanut butter that is natural.
Yeah, and they do taste really well, really good. You don't really lose anything by not having the sugar in it.
So a very nutty banana nut.
There is another option to the natural peanut butter is the powdered peanut butter.
So I was going to show them the powdered peanut butter. So this one, I'm going to put it together and give it a little shake.
Yep.
So this is the other peanut butter Michelle was just mentioning. So this is a powdered peanut butter. So it has 90% less fat than other peanut butter because the fat in peanuts is healthy for us, you still have to be careful and not overdo it. So the powdered peanut butter is kind of neat to work with. It's literally a powder, and you could dump it in. And where regular peanut butter might be difficult to mix in with these oats, this mixes right in and it goes right through the whole jar.
Yeah, that's good for cooking too, the powdered peanut butter.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of your more Asian recipes would use something like
grab
that.
these cacao nibs. So these are another thing that I brought, just to FYI. So these are called raw cacao nibs. So they are like raw chocolate. So as an alternative, a healthy alternative to chocolate chips, you could add a few of these into this recipe as well to give it a little bit of a chocolate bite without any of the sugar or other additives that goes into chocolates or chocolate chips.
And chocolate actually in its most natural form is actually a superfood. So it has a lot of good healing properties in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, permission to eat good chocolate.
I like that. So this is ready to go in the fridge and make it in the evening, and it's ready to go in the morning. The other thing with this is I like to make a bunch of them on Sunday, and then we just grab and go in the morning. We make about 10 of them, and between my husband and the kids and myself, we have breakfast every day. Easy peasy. Okay, so our next oat recipe is going to be pina colada. So Steve's going to show us how to properly cut up a real pineapple.
So whenever you're cutting anything that's round, and it needs to be peeled, like a butternut squash, pineapple, turnip, you always want to quarter it first, and because it's safer, and always cut on the flat side so it's not rolling around.
That's a good tip. And then it probably makes it easier to make things like equal, right? When you cut
Yes,
it.
and you're not trying to handle like a whole butternut squash and peel it towards you or away from you. It's just easier to do a smaller piece.
Okay.
And then with the pineapple, I like to take the core out. It's kind of woody.
Yeah.
The core is like it's really fibrous and hard to chew.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like to eat it though. It still tastes really good.
Pineapple is fairly inexpensive, and you're really better off to buy the fresh than the canned. The can usually comes with a lot of sugar in it. It's high in vitamin C and fiber, and it's also really good as a sweetener. You don't need a whole lot of it. For example, in cooking, some of your Asian dishes use pineapple as a sweetener.
And I just peel it and dice it up or slice it, however the recipe calls for. This one's what?
Oh, it's just a little bit. So a quarter of a cup of chopped pineapple and just little tiny bits of it. They're edible.
Sometimes you can already buy pineapple in the grocery stores chopped or cored for you in a container, and if you're in a hurry and that's easier, that's definitely an acceptable alternative.
Or you can just hire Steve to cut it up for you.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's way better than mine because mine usually has the little pickies in there.
Right?
Nice job.
So just a quarter cup of the pineapple goes in. We're gonna eyeball it.
Yeah, that's how we work.
That's how we roll here. Just a few more pieces. Okay. Is there a way, Steve, to tell if a pineapple is fresh and ready to be cut?
Yeah, usually this one is not quite ripe yet, but you would, in the store, just pull one of the leaves, and if they come out easily, then it's fully ripe.
Oh, I didn't know
I
that.
didn't know that either.
I thought you guys had to
color.
squeeze them, like if they're
it's usually the leaf.
if they squeeze too much, then they're too ripe.
I always smelled them
Good
too.
to know.
But
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Learn something new every day. And then we're gonna just add coconut to this one, and this one's almost done.
Tablespoon.
So a tablespoon of coconut flakes. Be careful because coconut flakes come sweetened and unsweetened. So if you're getting the sweetened one, just know that it's got added sugar. So check your label. You can also toast coconut. You can put this in, an oven or a toaster oven on a cookie sheet and just toast it a little bit until it's golden, and that gives it another flavor profile, makes it a little bit nicer. And this one is done. Easy peasy, pina colada.
All right, so what's the next one we're gonna do?
So the last one we're gonna do is the almond blueberry recipe. So again, with our basic overnight oats, this is really easy. we're just gonna do a 1/4 cup of blueberries, and you could do frozen blueberries or fresh blueberries. Frozen blueberries are great because they maintain the same nutrients as fresh blueberries, and you can literally take out what you need for the day and put the rest back in the freezer, and they last for much longer, so you get more bang for your buck.
They're generally cheaper too than buying fresh, actually.
Yes, yeah, so a little more cost effective.
Can you use different kinds of berries, or do you have to, is it just strictly the
Oh
blueberries?
goodness, you can use any berries you want.
I know we did have some berry medley that we picked up that you could probably use as well.
Yep, adding some strawberries and blackberries gives it just a little bit more. Blueberries are another really good one. We talked about the pineapple being a good sweetener, but blueberries are also really sweet.
Yeah, and they're considered a superfood. They have really a lot of antioxidants and anti-inflammatory properties.
Yes, and they're high in fiber and really just delicious.
And they're very versatile. They make a really good snack. They're portable. You can throw them in a container and take them with you.
And frozen blueberries are almost like eating little popsicles, so nice little snack, little treat. Next in the recipe is some sliced almonds. So we're just gonna do 2 tablespoons of sliced almonds.
And if you don't like almonds, you can use any other kind of nut that you want. Most of the ingredients that we bought for these overnight oats, we got at Save-A-Lot. They're also a sponsor of our program. We want to make sure that we thank them for their support of this program.
Yes, very affordable. So that's it. Easy recipe.
Yeah.
So the last recipe we'll just mention, we won't go through it, but it's another really easy recipe. This would be sort of a savory overnight oat recipe that includes eggs, Parmesan cheese, and spinach. So, and soaking, instead of the almond milk, we would soak the oats in chicken broth. You could do it in water, but the chicken broth just adds a little bit more flavor.
That recipe will be available in your packet.
Yep. You'll just soak the same oats, so you do a 1/4 cup of your oats with a 1/2 cup of the chicken broth, soak it overnight, and then in the morning you would want to transfer it to a microwave safe bowl. Heat the oats up for 2 minutes, and then in a separate bowl you're going to whisk together some eggs with some Parmesan cheese, and then you can add a little spinach in too. You toss that mixture on top of the heated oats and pop it in the microwave again for another minute, and fluff it around with a fork, and the eggs should be done. If they're not done, you can go a little bit longer. It depends on your microwave. But that's another delicious savory recipe for oats.
Yeah, we recommend that you use real Parmesan cheese. The kind that you buy on the shelf tends to have a lot of other ingredients in it, and this is just 100% Parmesan cheese.
Shaved Parmesan cheese.
Get ready to go.
And then we also had some other ideas. So with the other oats, you can add all kinds of different spices and flavors. So being that it's fall, I brought some pumpkin spice. So you could do the basic oat recipe with some nuts in it and some pumpkin spice.
Pumpkin season.
And it's pumpkin. You can even add some plain pumpkin puree and make it a pumpkin pie oatmeal. That's another delicious recipe. And with that, sometimes you might want to add a little bit of sweetener to give it some more flavor if you're not going to add any fruit that has a sweetener. And monk fruit is another sweetening alternative to sugar. So just some other ideas for some healthy, easy recipes to do.
We challenge you to come up with some creative ideas and make your own.